Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on another video of mine. As always, I greatly do appreciate it. If you are new here, hi there, my name is Rosie. All my old time subbies, thank you for joining me once again. So for today's video, I wanted to go ahead and do a transitioning to natural Q&A. A few weeks ago, I posted a couple of pictures on my Instagram page just showing how much my hair has grown over the last few years, showing, how my hair first looked like while it was transitioning to what it's looking now, and it's definitely flourishing. So I wanted to go ahead and do a transitioning hair Q&A, especially to help those who are currently transitioning. I've been getting tons of DMs in regards to transitioning, so I thought it would be better for me to just make a video. That way you guys can utilize it as a reference guide to help you in your journey. So that is what we'll be doing today. But before we start, if you have not done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel, make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and yes, let's go ahead and get started. Got my wine. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so I have your questions here on my iPad, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start reading your questions off. So first question says, what styles did you wear while transitioning? So I didn't really experiment with a lot of hairstyles while I was transitioning. I was very boring. Very boring. I only would do buns. That was it. That was simple for me, and that was my only to-go hairstyle. I get it a lot. People are like, is that the only hairstyle that you did? You didn't experiment? No, I didn't. Dealing with the two textures was already very challenging enough. To do a hairstyle to hide the texture was just too much work for me. And I liked how my hair looked in buns. I would do low buns, I would do high buns. I also purchased curly clip-ins from AliExpress. And I would do my high buns using my curly clip-ins, and I liked how my hair looked. I put some makeup, some lipstick, some gold hoops, and I called it a day. But I didn't really experiment just because I really didn't want to be over manipulating my hair. That was another thing too. I was like, I don't want to put too much focus in trying to do all these different kind of hairstyles. I was like, I much prefer just to touch my hair as less as possible, only when needed. And in regards to style, I just did my low buns and I did my high buns, and it worked for me. And to this day, that's probably my favorite hairstyle, just because it protects my ends and I love how I look in buns. So okay, next question says, I've been transitioning for a year and a half. Is it fine if I flat iron my hair this one time? Now, when it comes to flat ironing your hair, especially when you're transitioning, I don't recommend it at all. I personally feel that I have been successful in my journey and I've obtained this amount of growth over the last 3 years is because I have completely eliminated heat from my regimen. I don't include it at all, except when I'm deconditioning, but that's nothing. Flat ironing while you're transitioning, if you take that approach, you're gonna end up setting yourself back. There's a huge possibility that you can get heat damage. And also you have to consider is because you're transitioning and you have the two different hair textures, your hair is very fragile. So adding that heat could really set you back. I highly don't recommend it. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to straighten your hair, once you're fully natural. There's tons of videos showing you the steps that these beauties take and how they outline it, and then they're able to revert their curls back, no problem. Personally for me, I'm not interested in straightening my hair, but I highly don't recommend it while you're transitioning. Your hair is just very fragile, and there's a huge possibility that you can just set yourself back by adding that heat to your hair. So no, sis, I don't recommend it. You shouldn't do it. Okay, next question says, how do you feel about Cantu products? So Cantu, the Cantu line was one of the first lines that I used while I was transitioning. I went on a binge when I decided to go natural, and I bought a bunch of hair products, and some of the stuff that I bought was from Cantu. I purchased embarrassing, totally embarrassing. As I was saying, so the Cantu line was one of the first lines that I used while I was transitioning. I kind of went on a binge and I bought a bunch of hair product when I decided to start my natural hair journey. And I remember from the Cantu line, I tried their leave-in, I did try their deep conditioner, and they also had like a curl refresher spray, which actually I didn't like that. That was very sticky. Now, during that time, you know, the product worked for me. It was very affordable. I did enjoy using it, but I didn't end up repurchasing, to be honest with you, just because I had discovered other products that I prefer. I don't have anything against Cantu, but they're just not my to-go hairline product when I was transitioning. I tested it out, I tried it, I thought that it was okay, but I had, you know, discovered other products that I prefer, and I've never really revisited using Cantu since. Okay, next question says, what do you recommend for thinning? So I would definitely recommend doing scalp massages, especially in that specific area. You definitely want to use black castor oil. You can mix it with almond oil, argan oil. There's just various oils that can really help when it comes to thinning. But I would definitely do a little oil concoction, definitely add black castor oil, and then just kind of massage that in that particular area. And just do that consistently to see if that definitely helps. I know that, you know, over time I have dealt with some breakage, especially like in this area right here. And I've always taken almond oil, argan oil, black castor oil, coconut oil. I've made like my own little oil concoction, and I'll just massage it in this specific area. And I have seen that that has helped. So I definitely recommend for you to try that. Okay, next question reads, how can I find out my hair type? Finding the right products has been tough. I definitely feel you on that. I know that when I was transitioning, I felt a little lost in regards to figuring out what curl pattern I had, you know, what hair porosity, density of my hair. There's just so many hair characteristics that goes into place when it comes to having an understanding of your hair. And I know that for me, it was challenging to find those answers when I was transitioning, because that was just you know, I was still transitioning. So it's very hard to have an understanding of those things when you are transitioning. I didn't really learn about hair porosity or density until I was fully natural, because to me that was just like the next step into my journey. But I didn't really have an understanding of that until I was fully natural. I think that while you are transitioning, you know, especially for me, the approach that I took is I just kind of made sure that, you know, I was taking care of my hair by just doing my weekly hair regimen, making sure that I was deep conditioning, making sure that I was trimming my hair when needed, and I was just kind of slowly letting go of the dead ends and just making sure that I never let my hair dry. Now, when it comes to products, it's pretty much a trial and error, because you're not gonna know right from the bat what products you should be using. You know, I know for me, I went on a shopping spree when I first started my journey, and I bought a bunch of stuff that I actually ended up not using because it just didn't work for my hair. But you know, that's kind of part of the journey. You know, you have to go out there and you have to experiment. You know, don't go crazy spending all your money. You know, I buy my stuff on sale. That's the approach that I took when I was transitioning. But the only way that you're gonna have an understanding of what something works for you is just by testing it out. The approach that I took is just as my hair was growing and I was seeing my curls, and I also had this section back here that I completely cut all the damaged ends because I just wanted to see my curls. I just then started to just kind of do research, you know, online, but also seeing other influencers who kind of mimic my hair texture, and just learning from them, learning from their experience, learning from their regimen, what approach they take with their hair, and then from there taking that information and see how I can fit it, you know, into my hair journey and if I would benefit from it. So it's a lot of trial and error, but just definitely make sure that, you know, you are doing your research, you are experimenting, and you are documenting this, you are outlining things down just to help give you a better perspective in regards to how you should move forward with your hair. Okay, next question says, what's a good nighttime routine / style while transitioning? So a good nighttime routine and style while you're transitioning is, first off, you know, you definitely want to make sure you have a nighttime routine. You just don't want to go to bed without checking in with your hair. That's something that I do consistently. You know, just how I do my skincare routine, I have a nighttime hair routine. And I think it's really important that you start getting into that mindset while you are transitioning, so that way it really sticks, because even now, that's just my nighttime routine has continued to stay the same over the years. You know, I check in with my hair to see how it feels. You know, my hair gets very dry very easily, and the longer it gets, as you can see, it's a little bit frizzy right now. But at nighttime, what I usually do, especially when I was transitioning, is I would section my hair into 4. I would go ahead and moisturize it. I would seal in that moisture with an oil, and then I would go ahead and braid it up. So I would have 4 little braids. I would go ahead and put my scarf, and then I would go ahead and put my bonnet, and bedtime. And then in the morning, when I would take the braids down, my hair felt soft, it was moisturized, so I was able to go ahead and just put my hair in my hairstyle choice, which was a bun. Buns was the only hairstyle that I pretty much did, but you know, I just felt comfortable with doing that hairstyle, and it worked for me just because I moisturized the night before, so I didn't really need to moisturize in the morning. My hair felt very hydrated, and just staying on top staying on top with moisturizing my hair helped tremendously, especially when it came with the breakage, just because, you know, my hair was never dry. That was one thing that was very important to me, is just to always make sure that my hair was heavily moisturized, you know, and that it didn't feel dry, and just creating that nighttime hair routine and making sure that I was moisturizing my hair definitely helped. And in regards to style, again, you know, buns was it for me. I liked how I looked in them, so I didn't mind at all. Next question says, is it possible to fully transition to natural hair, or do you have to big chop? You don't necessarily have to big chop. I know for me, when I started my journey, I had told myself that I was going to go ahead and transition for 2 years, and once my hair was like past shoulder length, then I would go ahead and cut the remaining dead ends. So that was the approach that I said I was gonna do, but it didn't turn out that way. I ended up doing the big chop after a year, but while I was transitioning in those 12 months, I did several small chops to kind of, you know, let go of the remaining dead ends. So, you know, you don't have to big chop right away, but just do understand that, you know, you should be gradually cutting off the dead ends and just letting go of that dead hair as your new growth is coming in. You know, it just really depends on how comfortable you feel, because I think that's really important too. You know, you shouldn't be forced to do something that you don't feel comfortable with. You know, for me, I didn't feel comfortable doing the big chop right away, but I knew that I had to cut my hair eventually. So I just did things on my own terms, and I would cut slowly, you know, every 3 to 4 months. Every 3 months, to be honest with you, I would end up cutting. I did several small chops, and then when I hit my 1 year into my journey, I felt comfortable with the amount of growth that I had, and I felt comfortable letting go of the remaining ends. So just keep in mind, you don't have to big chop right away, but you do have to get in that mindset of cutting every few months just to let go of the dead ends. Next question says, what should my hair regimen look like while I am transitioning? Very good question. So I think when it comes to creating a hair regimen while you are transitioning, you definitely want to focus on the following. Now, for me, the first step to my hair regimen when I was transitioning was pre-poo. That was the first step. It wasn't the first step from the very beginning, just because I really didn't need to pre-poo because my hair was so limp, it didn't tangle, so I didn't have to do that. I would say mark 6 months into my journey, you know, the growth was definitely coming in, and I was definitely experiencing tangles, and that's when I learned about pre-poo. Pre-poo has been very beneficial for me because it really helps me not only add moisture back into my hair, but it really helps me to just remove all of that shedding from my hair before I jump into the shower, because I just can't just jump into the shower on wash day. I couldn't do it when I was transitioning, and I certainly can't do it now. Like, like, I have to pre-poo, I have to add moisture to my hair. And it definitely helps because once you jump in the shower, you're not spending time in the shower trying to detangle because you've already done that before you jumped in. So definitely recommend first step is pre-poo. Next, you want to go ahead and either shampoo or co-wash depending where you are in your routine throughout the week. Now for me, I shampooed every week. Every 7 days I shampoo, just because you want to start off on healthy scalp, a nice, healthy, clean scalp. That is so important. So I personally, I did some co-washing in the summer while I was transitioning, but for the most part, you know, I have to shampoo every week. I took that approach in regards to shampooing every week just because I'm very heavy-handed with my products. And I was noticing that when I would skip shampoo, then I would deal with so much product buildup, and you know, and like my hair, you could see the dandruff, and you can see all that product buildup because I wasn't shampooing every week. So personally for me, you know, because I'm heavy-handed, I would shampoo. You know, you can always co-wash midweek if you do have the time. I know I like to personally co-wash, especially in the summertime, because I deal with a lot more frizz, my hair gets dry, and you know, obviously it's so hot. But I definitely recommend for you to shampoo. You definitely always want to start on a clean scalp. I know a lot of times people skip conditioning and then jump right into deep conditioning. I don't. I include that step as well, just because I like to have that slip in my hair, especially dealing with the two texture. Having that slip is your best friend. That is how you prevent tangles from forming, because they like to form very quickly. So after conditioning, then I would go ahead and deep condition for about 20 to 25 minutes, up sometimes 30 minutes, you know, and I would also sit under a hooded dryer, because I learned that, you know, because I am low porosity, sitting under a hooded dryer really helps the hair follicles open up. So then of course that deep conditioner can better penetrate into your hair. That was such an important key into my hair regimen, because once I started incorporating heat into my deep conditioning, you know, it really helped with my hair strength and just seeing the length retention and just seeing my hair getting stronger. So I definitely recommend for you to deep condition, especially with heat. And then of course, you know, you want to go ahead and style your hair. I only did buns again, you know, when I was transitioning, so I didn't really experiment a lot when it came to hairstyles. I did a couple of Bantu knots a couple of times, you know. They didn't come out so good, but it was okay. But for the majority, after wash day, I would use a good leave-in. I would do 4 to 6 little braids, let that air dry, and then the next day I would go ahead and take them down and then just put my hair in a bun until next Sunday for wash day. Excuse me, until next Sunday for wash day. And then that was just kind of my routine. But being consistent with my hair regimen was definitely key to the amount of growth and the health in my hair, because I always made sure that I kept up with it. Because, you know, the minute you start getting lazy with it, that's when you start dealing with stuff, your hair start taking a back seat, and then you end up finding yourself, you know, right in the beginning. So you just always want to make sure that you stay consistent and you're definitely washing your hair and you're deep conditioning every week. That's really important. Okay, next question says, while transitioning, did you experience a lot of breakage / shedding? How do I help it? So yes, I did actually. A lot of shedding, and I did deal with breakage. I dealt with breakage, especially in this area and in this area here as well. It just, you know, it's just part of transitioning, unfortunately. But the best way that I dealt with it is just kind of keeping up with my trims, because that really did help. You know, when I used to straighten my hair, I have to admit, I did not keep up with my trims, and I actually hated trimming my hair because I just saw it as a sign of losing length. I was just so attached with, you know, trying to keep my length that I would go months and sometimes a year without cutting my hair. So When you are transitioning, you're going to see the shedding. You know, there's possibility you're going to see breakage, but the best approach you can take is just to keep up with your trimmings. You want to go ahead and just trim off that, excuse me, the dead ends little by little, and you'll see a difference in regards to minimizing that shedding and breakage. I think personally for me, once I was seeing my hair grow and I was seeing how my hair was flourishing, then I became really comfortable with the trimming because I knew that, you know, I was in the process of transitioning, and you know, at some point I had to let go of the dead ends. But I definitely recommend for you to keep up with the trimming, start doing small little baby chops just to kind of let go of the hair, and you should be able to see a difference. But you know, you're still going to experience the shedding and possible breakage, you know, during the transitioning phase until, you know, you are fully natural, but trimming definitely helps. Okay, next question says, should I blow dry your hair when transitioning? Again, when it comes to heat, I don't recommend it. I think that you should do your best to stay away from heat. You shouldn't be blow drying your hair. You shouldn't be straightening your hair while you're transitioning. You know, you're going natural for a reason. You kind of want to let go of that. I know it's easier said than done, so you got to do things at your pace. But for me, I personally don't recommend it. I think that adding heat to your hair while you are transitioning, especially since your hair is at a very fragile stage, I just don't recommend it. Okay, next question says, I've got a few questions. How did you transition? What products do you use now in your hair? How did I transition? By transitioning, I just decided to go natural by going the route of transitioning. So I didn't want to just chop off all my hair, so I decided to transition, and during that time I would just keep my hair in buns, make sure that I wash weekly, make sure that I deep condition, and I also made sure that I stayed away from heat completely. I did that for about a year, and after a year, in February of 2018, I just decided that I was ready to let go of the remaining ends, and I decided to chop. Now in that year that I was transitioning, I did do a few small chops, you know, just to kind of let go of the dead ends, but that's just kind of the approach that I took. Now in regards to products, I mean, I am a product junkie, so I'll just put that out there. So I do use a lot of range of products. I do have a video from this year just showing some of the products that I've been enjoying this year so far, so I'll make sure I'll link that video down below so you can go ahead and check it out. Next question says, what's the best way to minimize breakage when detangling, dealing with the two different textures? This is a really great question. I get this question a lot. Now, the best way to just minimize breakage when you are detangling, especially with the two different textures, I really encourage you to finger detangle. Now, I know that it can be a little bit time consuming, you know, but personally for me, I think that that is the best approach because it really gives you the opportunity to be very careful with your hair and to try your best to try to prevent any additional breakage. I try finger detangling, you know, I like to work in small sections and finger detangle that section and then move on and move on. But it would take me a little bit longer, but I did see that taking that approach really helps when it came to minimize the breakage, because that was my thing. You know, I was fully aware that because of the two different textures, I was going to deal with shedding and breakage. So, you know, I looked at it as, well, you know, finger detangling is going to take me a little bit longer, but if this is going to be the best approach to protect, especially the new growth that is coming in, then that's the approach that I'll take. So I definitely recommend for you to just try to finger detangle and work in small sections, and always make sure that when you are detangling, you know that you have some sort of moisture in your hair. Try to use conditioner, try to use a leave-in, a pre-poo, whatever you can, you know, to help add that slip so it's just easier for you to detangle your hair. Okay, next question says, when is the right time to do the big chop? Now, when it comes to the big chop, you know, I always tell everyone, you know, no one can really make that decision for you. I think when it comes to big chopping, you know, that's something, you know, it's a conversation that you have to have with yourself, and you really have to decide, you know, when the right time is for you. I know for me, when I started my journey, I originally said, you know, that I was going to transition for 2 years because my hair needed to be at a certain length because I wasn't going to cut my hair, So that didn't end up happening. You know, after a year, I felt comfortable with the growth of my hair, and you know, I was ready to just move past the transitioning phase. I was ready to be fully natural. But you know, after a year, mentally, I felt ready to cut off my hair. That's an important thing too. You want to do things at your pace, when you're ready, and more importantly, when you feel comfortable. Now, I didn't plan my big chop. You know, some people do, I didn't. I think that there towards the end of 2017, I kept thinking a lot about it, you know, and then I had this small section back here that was fully natural, and just seeing the curls, I just kept thinking about what my whole head of hair would look like. And you know, I just kept thinking about it. And then in February of 2018, I remember after work, I went to happy hour, had a few drinks. But when I got home and I was like doing my nighttime routine, and I was taking off my curly clip-ins, because I had to wear my curly clip-ins because I needed them to do my buns, because I had done small big chops previously, so I needed the curly clip-ins to do the bun. And I remember I was just like taking off my hair, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, it's time for me to just evolve. And I don't know, I got a pair of scissors and I just started cutting away, and it was like the best feeling ever, but I felt comfortable with that. And I was so happy after I did the big chop, and it was totally random, it was unplanned, but you know, I felt good about my decision. So you just want to make sure that, you know, if you are going to do it, you know, you do it at your own pace, you do it because you feel right, and more importantly, you do it because you feel comfortable. Next question says, did you ever wanted to give up while you were transitioning? Yes, I did. You know, that's one thing that I usually like to let everyone know, especially on my Instagram page, is that this journey is not easy. It's not an easy journey, and I can't really tell you how long it's going to take, because everybody transitions to natural differently. You know, some people wait longer, some people start off doing the big chop, some people wait, you know, so it really depends. There's really no right way or wrong way to transition. But I know for me, you know, that year was tough. You know, I didn't look great, so obviously I didn't feel great about myself. You know, I thought that I always looked wild crazy, and you know, the only way that I could look presentable, you know, and hide all this hot mess was to do buns. But you know, you have to have conversations with yourself, and you have to be patient, and you have to understand that this is a process, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen for you, because I've been very open and I've been very transparent with my journey and showing you guys my pictures and how crazy I looked, because I did. That was just my reality back in 2017, and it wasn't a pretty sight, but you know, that's just what I was dealing with. So if I did it, there's no reason you can't do it either. So I always tell you guys, you know, make sure that you are always speaking to yourself from a loving place. Make sure that you're being kind with yourself. Make sure that you are being patient. Stay optimistic. I tell you guys, take pictures, because they really help. I love sharing my comparison photos with you guys on my page. You guys seem to really enjoy that, because I always get such high engagement from those comparison photos. But you know, I do it because I just want to show you guys, listen, this has taken a few years to get where I am, but if I did it, you can definitely do it too. You just got to put in that work week after week. And even during the times that you feel down, you know, it's okay to feel that way. You know, we're humans, but you know, allow yourself to feel that way, go through that emotion, but do understand that, you know, this moment in your hair journey is temporarily, and eventually you're going to be where you want to be, so you can stunt and be like, what? Next question says, what should I avoid while I am transitioning to natural? I'm currently on month 2. Well, congratulations to you. What you should avoid while transitioning, you should definitely avoid heat. You should definitely avoid heat. You should definitely avoid any type of chemicals, adding color to your hair, and of course over manipulating your hair with various hairstyles. You should keep it simple. Make sure that you're moisturizing your hair, make sure that you're trimming. But yeah, those are some things that I would definitely avoid. Again, you know, I think when you are adding heat to your hair, you're adding color, and you're over manipulating your hair constantly, especially while you're transitioning, which your hair is at a very fragile state, you know, it can really set you back. So I would definitely recommend staying away from those things. Next question says, what should I do to make this transitioning journey much easier for me? I think the first things first, more than anything, is that you should find a support group. You know, find people that you can connect with and you can let them know what's going on. I think for me, what was really helpful is one of my best friends, Rajon, she was already natural. And my other best friend, Danya, and I, we started our journey. I think maybe we were like a couple of months apart, but it was really great to have that support, to have that support system from someone that is already natural, and then going into the journey with someone new, because we would always feed off questions and just experiences and just method from each other. So it really felt good. So just kind of having that support system for my best friends definitely helped, because they knew what I was going through, and you know, we would just always connect and just, you know, share ideas and stuff like that, and that really helped. Another thing too is just having a hair regimen. I think that was key for me, and just, you know, taking one day out of the week and just focusing that day. That's wash day. That's the day you're gonna stay home. That's the day you're gonna focus on your hair. And once you have that hair regimen and you have it outlined, you know, it really helps you stay on track. So that definitely helps. And another thing too is just finding a protective style that you personally feel comfortable with and that you personally like. And to me, you know, that was doing buns. I loved how I looked in buns, middle part, straight part, up, low. It didn't matter. That was my to-go hairstyle. I liked how I looked, beat my face, and you know, it worked for me. So you definitely want to find that, you know, whatever that style it is, you know, whether you're doing twist outs, whether you're doing braids, whether you're doing buns, whatever the case, ponytails, whatever the case may be, you know, you want to definitely make sure that you find a protective style where you are protecting your hair, you're not over manipulating, you're leaving your hair be, and you know, it's a style that you prefer. So I think that those things really do help, you know, make your natural hair easier, and just, you know, staying on top of your hair and just making sure that you're staying consistent. So, you know, it was really helpful to have a support system, and I really encourage everyone to always try to have that, because it really does help. Next question says, what's the best way I can go about to avoid breakage? So, you know, with transitioning, you know, you do deal with breakage. It does come. I think that the best way to help with that is to do protein treatments. I did a lot of DIY protein treatments when I was transitioning. I would do those at least twice a month. And I really saw how it was making my hair stronger, and it was just, you know, adding that strength, and it was helping with length retention. So the DIY treatments that I would use, I would do like an avocado, I would add honey, I would sometimes add a few banana slices, and I would add olive oil, black castor oil, almond oil, argan oil, and I would do that at least twice a month. And I love doing protein treatments. I don't do DIY protein treatments anymore. I should. If you guys want to see me do that, let me know. Put it in the comments below. But yeah, I did protein treatments twice a month, and I definitely saw a difference in my hair, especially when I was transitioning. You know, my hair was fragile, but doing the protein treatments definitely helped. Next question says, how many times should I be trimming my hair while I am transitioning? So I think that you should be trimming your hair often, you know, depending on the amount of dead ends that you have. The approach that I took when I was transitioning is every few months or so, I would do a little trim. And then during that year that I was transitioning, I did do a few small you know, big chops, just to really cut off the dead ends and, you know, let go of that damaged hair. But even now I trim when needed, but when I was transitioning, I was a little bit more heavy on the trimming, just because I knew that I needed to cut off the dead ends. But you should be trimming at least every 3 months or so. I think that it's really important that that becomes a part of your regimen, you know, especially, you know, you have to let go of the dead ends. I know it's tough, but, you know, try to get yourself in that mindset to trim. And, you know, it really does help when it comes to the health of your hair. So at least every 3 months, I recommend. Next question, somebody asks, what is your hair type? So I do consider myself having type 4 hair, low porosity, and I have high density hair. So yeah. So I think, you know, once I became fully natural and I had a better understanding of the category of my hair, you know, that really put into perspective what products I should be using, what should I be staying away from, and of course, you know, how I should be handling my hair, what I should be looking like. If my hair gets frizzy, then it means this, or, you know, it's just so many things. So I think that while you are transitioning, you're not gonna have these answers, but just keep in mind that when you're transitioning, you know, your focus should be on just making sure that you are staying consistent with your hair regimen, you are deep conditioning weekly, and you are, you know, building a regimen and you're staying consistent with that regimen and with your routine. And, you know, the answers will come to you as time goes by, you know, but, you know, you have to also do your part and do your research. You know, it's very important that, you know, you make the attempt to do the research, to outline these things, document things, write things down, you know, jot things down, because it really does help, you know, give you an idea in regards to, you know, how you should be moving with your hair. Okay, that was all of your questions. If you guys do have additional questions, please write them below so we can chat, so we can connect. I'd love to hear from all of you guys. Now, before I do close out this video, I do want to say that this journey is tough. So, you know, it's a lot of trial and error that you're going to have to go through. It's going to be a lot of up and downs. You know, personally for me, I know that I went through that, and I know that it was tough for me to stay positive, even in those moments where I just didn't feel the best. But, you know, I'm here to tell you that it's something that you can definitely do. I love sharing my comparison photos on my Instagram page, because I really want to show you guys, look, this is where I started. I started here. You know, it has taken me 3 years to get to where I am with my hair, but it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of consistency and just keeping up with my hair regimen. But just understand that if I was able to do this, you can too, okay? You just got to stay with it week after week after week after week, and I promise you, you will get there. Now, I do have other transitioning videos where I outline my journey and I outline additional steps that I highly recommend. It's my first video that I uploaded here on YouTube. And then I have another video, which is my 10 best hair tips for when it comes to transitioning to natural. I'll go ahead and I'll link those videos down below so you guys can definitely check it out after this one. Okay, that is the end of this video. Of course, I hope that it was informative. If you have any additional questions, definitely drop them in the comments below. Love to connect with you guys. But thank you so much for tuning in. I definitely appreciate your time. Very grateful for it. If you're enjoying content like this, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. I hope you guys be well, stay safe, take good care of yourself. And of course, I will see you in my next video. Mwah! Bye-bye.